Paranormal Paparazzi.
What the
Is this man telling the truth about his family's history of alien abduction?
There was this craft that looked like a huge turtle shell.
Is this Nevada hotspot haunted by the ghost of a dead comedian?
It's cold. It is cold.
This hotel is haunted in the movies, but what about in real life?
Oh my God, that is creepy.
Plus, worldwide weird and celebrity red carpet. Join Aaron Sagers and his team of reporters as they travel the country hunting down stories of the paranormal.
Hey, Impaler!
On Paranormal Paparazzi.
Okay, people, I know you've all been researching stories of the unexplained, but I actually want to start with one that goes back half a century. Branden.
So this story I covered, I went to Knoxville, Tennessee, and I'll probably cover one of the more peculiar stories of multiple lifetimes.
Lots of people claim to have seen a UFO, but only a few go on record and say they've been abducted. Tom Reed claims that he and his family have been victimized by alien abductors for the past 50 years. Our reporter traveled to Tennessee to get to the bottom of the story.
And we've heard stories that your family has been, let's say the word, subject to a number of inexplicable events.
Well, we had a horse farm back in Massachusetts in the early 60s, and there were a series of accounts that involved UFOs, I guess, tabloid term, but my brother and I actually had seen them more than once, and actually at one point boarded one. We saw what looked like a silhouette, a glowing image, almost like a ghostly figure. The ground beneath us changed, and we went from a staircase to a field. And at that point, we started walking into this entrance area. There was this craft that looked like a huge turtle shell. My family kind of was tight-lipped about it, and it became more of a investigated behind the scenes and was taken to the UN in 1992, and after that we were pretty quiet about it for several years.
I can see the reasonings why he does what he does. He's got a mission to show the world what happened to his family. His story is really not a story. I mean, he's got the facts to go behind it.
There are some people who would say that some of your experiences may be possibly embellished because it may become in a potential movie. What would you say about that?
I'd say there hasn't been any embellishing. I could tell you a lot more than I am, but I'm only sharing with you what's on this table.
What was on the table? I just saw a bunch of papers.
All right, what you're looking at on that table, you're looking at classified police reports, you're looking at medical records, you're looking at investigation reports.
Photos, though? I mean, decades of this. Is there any?
All of that
video?
is mixed in there. You're looking at a lot of classified information that is sitting there on that table that backs his story.
This is an abduction. He said he boarded it. I mean, yeah.
Branden, I find it fascinating that we're talking about an entire family that has been plagued by UFO encounters. But is it too good to be true? Is it too Hollywood ready?
What we do know is that his story's been supported by a lot of reputable individuals, and I met with one.
Now, do you remember administering the poly test to Mr. Thomas Reed?
I do.
What questions did you ask, if you can remember any, some specific, not all of them, just a couple?
It was basically, was he lying to me about contact he had back in the 60s?
What were your findings?
He was telling the truth.
Wow.
Okay.
That's significant.
Science? Is polygraph a science?
That's a science.
It is a science.
Branden, I mean, clearly it seems like you believe what this gentleman was saying, what our witness was saying, but a polygraph test you can fake.
No, you can't, man. I have to meet with Jim Morris. I'm telling you, there's not much that you can do to really pass a
If
polygraph.
you believe that it's true,
Several
you
times.
can fake
Several
the
times.
polygraph.
You believe it.
All right.
That's a great point.
So let's say you do it several times. All right. I did go in with a little edge of skepticism, but after seeing the classified documents, the police reports, the medical reports, the videos, meeting with the
You believe it?
I'm sold.
Wow. Okay.
So far, there's not enough there for me. Scott, you went out to the Grand Canyon State searching for something else, right?
Mogollon Monster. I met a really cool family, the Wade family, and they had me convinced.
Sightings of Bigfoot-like creatures have been reported all over the country. In this Paranormal Paparazzi exclusive, our reporter travels to the rugged foothills outside of Flagstaff, Arizona, to hunt for what the locals call the Mogollon Monster.
It's really easy to smile about it and take it lightly when you're here safe in the living room. But it's pretty serious when you're out there, when you're hearing those noises and you don't know what's you don't know what's out there, and you might die.
We're actually out here in the Arizona mountains at an undisclosed location, and we're getting ready to go on my first hunt and a hunt with the Mogollon people. We're gonna see what kind of equipment they used and kind of get in the groove.
One thing I've always learned is whenever you go anywhere, you carry a camera. These are actual game cameras that we hang up in the trees. This is night vision.
One of the things that we try to do is get low and see if you can pick up a trail through the woods.
That's what you'll hear.
The very first trip in here, we found the turkey kill. And then just over here to the right, across the creek, is the location we told you about having, you know, what we think was a hunting location. We found evidence of a deer kill and then had something we think that we interrupted its hunt.
This is Arizona's Bigfoot? Is that? I mean, this is Bigfoot we're talking about.
It's the Bigfoot in that area. There's Bigfoots all over the place.
Yeah.
And this is the Mogollon. It's a scouting story from years ago.
Yeah,
So
I've heard about this
creature, then.
So they found dead animals, right? But did anyone that you meet come in contact with the Mogollon monster, or did they know anyone that did come in contact?
They've all came in contact with it. It's a community of monsters.
So they've seen it.
They've seen it.
Okay, did you find anything?
I found something that I'd love to show you. So we just actually heard some loud banging coming from up on the hill. This is an active area. They found fresh tracks here. I could have possibly found my first Bigfoot clue, and now we're hearing loud bangs coming from above.
To the left of the knife.
This one, you can see a heel. You see an indent for an arch. You see more of the front foot, and then you can see toes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm sorry, am I crazy? I don't see anything.
Okay, good gravy. This wasn't the best shot. I mean, I saw another shot that was lower the side. It was a footprint.
And that was indented, what you saw from that perspective.
I see the
Pressed
footprint,
into the
but it
ground.
could be any kind of animal. I mean,
In the ground, in my brain, in my heart. I love it.
I like the monster. I like the story of this creature. It goes back a long time and supposedly is a little bit more aggressive than other Bigfoots. Very interesting, but I don't see this.
Is this video of a Canadian lake monster? Keep watching to find out.
Josh, you actually went completely off the grid for this next one, right?
Well, you know, there's a movie called No Country for Old Men, and I went so far off the grid, I was in no country for anybody.
The barren desert of South Texas is one of the most remote locations on Earth. It's here, not far from the Mexican border, where one man stands ready for anything.
Tell us what made you decide to live off the land.
All the mass animal die-offs, all these wars, all these governments failing in Egypt and Greece. NASA's saying that there's going to be an enormous solar flare that's going to wipe out our grid completely. Swine flu, West Nile virus, terrorist attacks. President Obama said last year, quote, "A nuclear terrorist attack on U.S. soil within the next 2 years is imminent." We make our own methane and power natural gas water heaters or stoves or generators, anything we need. We produce our own electricity with the solar and the wind. Livestock, goats, chickens, turkeys, ducks. Distill our own alcohol.
So for 6 years, nobody came or went from this property.
Right. We had zero contact with other people. No information in or out, nobody in or out, no emails, no phones, no mail, zero contact. People ask me, is it the end of the world? And no, it's not the end of the world. The world will always continue. It's just the end of the world as we know it. Are people going to die? Absolutely. In every transition, there's casualties. It's kind of like a cleansing of the earth.
Let's say you actually did have to defend this property against a crazy zombie apocalypse.
Where were you?
We drove for hours and hours down dirt roads. I'm not even sure where I was. Honestly, there's no address out there. It's uninhabitable zone.
John, how paranoid paranoid is this guy? Honestly.
You know, I don't think he's that paranoid as much as he just really wants to be completely self-reliant. I mean, he's not worried, though, you know? The guy's very relaxed, very calm.
But why shut down communication? I get being prepared for a zombie apocalypse or any kind of end-of-world doomsday scenario, but why isolate yourself and live in hiding for 6 years?
He says that he just really doesn't like people that much.
You bring up a topic close to my heart, the zombie apocalypse, and I wanted to bring in someone that could talk about this. So on the line with us is the author of World War Z and the Zombie Survival Guide, Max Brooks. Thanks so much for joining us, Max.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Max.
Why do you think people are planning for the apocalypse or the zombie apocalypse?
Well, I think given all the crises that we're facing and so complex and insurmountable, I think at least the zombie apocalypse gives us one problem that we can just shoot in the head.
Very good point. Very good point.
Well, the kind of zombies that we should be afraid of, is it going to be the voodoo zombie or maybe the viral outbreak zombie? Which one should we be worried about?
Well, that's a good question. I think if it's a viral outbreak, we might stand a chance. And if it's the voodoo, how ironic would that be if Haiti had the last laugh?
Dude, thanks so much, Max. I appreciate it.
It's time for Worldwide Weird.
First one comes from Lake Okanagan, British Columbia. A tourist took this video with his cell phone. Now, here you see the lake. There is no boats. There are no wind coming up off the water, but there's something moving.
It looks like something big to me. I mean, I can buy that could be a creature.
That's crazy.
And it had to be in the water long enough for this guy to go grab his camera and, like, train it on the water. So.
That's right. But, of course, the original monster is the Loch Ness Monster, which comes to us from the Highlands of Scotland. And here, this sonar picture was taken from a skipper on a boat, and he thinks it's the Loch Ness Monster.
The thing about this sonar is that this is measuring just the width of it, so we know it's very wide, but not saying how long it is. So this could very well be a collection of algae.
Here's my question on Loch Ness, and it comes up a lot. I know it's been the big Loch Ness year, but how can an animal that needs to surface stay hidden in a body of water?
That's a good question. Okay, well, what they've discovered, because they've actually looked at the bottom shelf of the Loch Ness, and what they have found is that there's actually underwater caves that have sustained air. So a monster could potentially live there and breathe and have a sustainable life.
And the water's really dark there also.
That's right, very
hard
murky.
to see in their period.
I actually went for a swim in Loch Ness.
Did you?
Did you see a monster?
I didn't see any monsters. I just got cold.
Does this dead comedian have unfinished business in Nevada? Find out on Paranormal Paparazzi.
I understand that Rachel has a very special story to tell us about.
Well, I do. You guys know I'm kind of the newest at paranormal investigating, but I get excited every time I get to spend the night in a haunted location.
It's time for Sleepover with Rachel. In this episode, Rachel and her producer travel to the notoriously haunted Yankee Peddler Inn in Torrington, Connecticut. The hotel is the inspiration for the horror movie, The Innkeepers.
Rob, tell me about the experiences that you've had with the paranormal here at the hotel.
The hotel has been here since 1890. We always hear stuff here and there from other guests. Every time this guy would go to bed, a rocking chair in the corner would start rocking. He didn't think nothing of it. The next night, everything was fine. He laid down to go to sleep again, and the rocking chair was rocking. And then the third time, he took the rocking chair out, put it in the hallway, and still went to bed.
Any advice for me in the room tonight?
Keep the door locked.
All right. This is where I shall be sleeping.
I've been told on numerous occasions by my maids that they refuse to clean it by themselves.
Really?
This closet is where they think that people disappearing.
Oh my God, that is creepy. Hold up. Oh my God, that's creepy. I don't know what it is. They kind of dug into the cement. They broke down the cement, and it hadn't been open in 50 years or so, and they found in the back corner this little bucket with a devil in it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's behind
maybe
what's
the place
going
is
on.
cursed. Is that?
I don't know.
Somebody might have wanted to create the activity, and they're using that to anchor it down.
I did an investigation. Check out what happened. Feet. This laser pen helps us see if there are any kind of like shadows or apparitions. Like if I put this against the wall, I'm gonna do it behind me here. I spread the pattern. If anything were to pass in front of this, we would see a very clear mark of it. So let's just shine this on the room and see if we see anything. Let's go ahead and do an EVP session and see if we can communicate with anyone who's in the room. I'd like to know who's in this room. So if you are here, could you please let us hear it? Is anyone here with us? I'm gonna just try a little bit of the K2 meter and see if we got anything. Is anyone in this room with us? If you are, show us you're here by lighting up this meter. Just wave your hand over it. Please light this meter up. Not so much. I tried.
You know, sweetheart, welcome to the paranormal field. We spent hours doing this, and sometimes nothing happens.
Well, by definition, paranormal means it doesn't usually happen, but that's why it's so special when it does.
I mean, I really tried everything. I tried every tool that I brought. I was begging the ghost to communicate with me, and I just didn't. I didn't get anything. I had a great time. I love the Yankee Peddler Inn. I would stay there again. It just wasn't paranormal for me this time.
Fact is I know the makers of The Innkeepers, the movie, they believe they've had a significant paranormal experience there. It just doesn't happen every time, which is probably a good thing.
There's nothing like a Hollywood movie premiere to bring out the celebrities. We sent our reporter to get their stories of the paranormal.
Sona here on the red carpet. I'm such a supernatural freak about that kind of stuff that I fully think that my New York apartment was haunted, my college apartment was haunted. So far, nothing bad here in Los Angeles. Have you ever been in a haunted house or experienced anything other than
Met the most beautiful ghosts I've ever known, and I just love it. I fall in love with women, even if they're ghosts. So I believe in psychics. I believe in psychics. I believe that there's ancient civilizations, wisdom, and experiences that are perhaps just so simply too complicated to accept some of the things they predict.
My family has a castle in Scotland and it's haunted. Definitely haunted. Terrifyingly haunted.
How do you know what happens there?
Well, there's been lots of stories about ghosts there, but I've never been alone in the castle, so I wouldn't want to be, so I don't know.
So everyone's getting haunted. This is the new thing. It's hot to get haunted.
Man, this is a stupid story. I thought there was a vampire in my attic from about age 9 to 15. So not haunted, but I did have to put a bolt on the door. I'm a total wuss.
You literally put a bolt.
It's time for the Dread Central Report.
I'm John Gulager, and I'm the director of Piranha 3 Double D. They did make a movie called Piranha 3D about a year and a half ago, and we wanted to make ours just a little bigger, and so ours is Piranha 3 Double D. And we have a love story in our movie. It's a very tender love story about a young girl who might be ill. She does not feel well, but she is a virgin, and she does not want to go to heaven that way. So she must set out to find a young mate. We have bigger piranhas, but we also have smaller piranhas. We even have the little piranha eggs. Was it Satan's caviar?
All right, guys, we're in the home stretch today, but we have one story that is all Scotty's that... tell me about it, Scott.
I actually went to one of Nevada's most popular landmarks, and really it gets 2 snaps on the spooky scale.
America's filled with famous places that are supposedly haunted. Alcatraz, the White House. Add to that list Nevada's very own Moonlight Bunny Ranch.
The Bunny Ranch, the girls say it's haunted. We had 2 rooms. There were always a problem with the lights, the air conditioning. And it happened to be the room that 2 things happened in. One, a girl left here and got murdered when she was on her vacation. It was her room. This actually was the room that Andy Kaufman used to party in. Now, Andy used to wrestle the girls. So he would take 2 girls in, one in a white outfit, one in a black outfit. I would referee the match. The winner would get to wrestle Andy for the finals.
This is really significant because I have heard about a lot of interesting celebrity ghost stories, but I never knew that Andy Kaufman was supposedly haunting the Bunny Ranch, even though we knew that he was a client that practiced wrestling there.
Sure. Well, we had to check it out first.
Yeah.
I think that this room is haunted. I do.
And it has a chill right now to it.
It's cold.
It's cold. It is cold.
The door's moving. The door's moving right there. You hear the creaking?
What is that? Is that from somebody walking around?
No.
Oh,
okay. That's creepy.
It's not uncommon to hear things there.
You hear the creaking?
Why do people attribute temperature change to spirits being around?
They say that the spirits have to get to manifest, they'll have to pull the energy out of the room, which will leave pockets of cold places. And
right. Did you feel a little chilly?
I felt a little chilly.
It has a chill right now to it.
It's cold.
It's cold.
Normally, those temperature changes accompany having more clothes.
Yeah, that's right.
That is an important point there. Andy Kaufman, why wouldn't he go back and haunt a place that brought him joy instead of a ghost that's haunting an asylum or a prison or something that's a real bummer? So, okay, guys, a really interesting collection of stories, but there are more out there for you to find. So let's go.